Good morning everyone, and a warm welcome to the Spring Vintage Classic from the Sebring International Raceway. Live all day long. We've got a massive day for you today, and we are going to be live here from Sebring for the whole day with both SVRA and Trans Am, as well as some historic Trans Am. And as you can see, we're already up and running. The safety car is out on the first of what will be many historic and fantastic races coming your way. First up will be an Enduro race, an historic GT, GTP, ALMS, and several groups involved, several different cars. This will be a 1 hour plus, 1.5 hour plus endurance race to kick us off. And then coming up, we've got more of the SVRA groups and Trans Am coming up later in the day. 2 feature races here. We've got views everywhere, including from above. And we're looking down at this historic Sebring track, one of the great originators, if you will, both for SVRA and for Trans Am. This in here in 1966 is where Trans Am began, and it is also very much an ancestral home for the SVRA Championship. I'm delighted to introduce to you once again Scott Conway and Ed Conway, who will take us through this endurance race. And as the safety car heads round this Sebring track, I'll hand over first to Scott and Ed Conway to give us an idea of what we're looking at here in our first endurance race.
Well, as you can see, we've got a beautiful day here in the 40s and sunshine. Drivers would probably like it to be a little cloudier where they don't have to deal with that sunshine, but it certainly gives us a good view, and it is excellent weather and great for the spectators. This is a sunrise race getting underway at 8 o'clock in the morning, our time here in Sebring, Florida. Starting from the pole is Travis Engen in car number 2 in the legendary Audi R8 LMP. The 44 entry starting in the first row is John Cloud. Both of these drivers have had several wins already in competition this weekend. John Cloud with Wally Dallenbach Jr. in the GT4 Ford Mustang Cobra. Starting third, the 94 of Chris Ronson and Chris Ronson Sr. and Jr. in the GTP3 Elan DP02. Starting fourth, the 29 of Richard Carlino and Nigel Greensall running in U2, the Chevron B36. And fifth is the 54 Dominic Inticanlupo in the GTP, an Orica FLM9. Starting sixth, the 551 of Lawrence Webster in a Porsche 911 Cup car, and seventh is the 14A of Phil Lasco in a Ford Mustang. Starting eighth, the 79 of Nathan Scigliani and John Cope in the S2 Carver S2. In ninth is the 01 of Ken McKinnon and Mike Bruns in a GT2 car, the Porsche 911 RSR. Scott, you might want to explain that we've got races within races here, as we've got several different groups out there, International GT and also SVRA.
That's right, Ed. We have International GT, which is part of the SVRA weekend here. They've had 2 sprint races. They're part of the Enduro, but they are running for their own individual championships and own individual points. That's a Stuttgart Cup, which is the Porsche Caymans, and then it is the Mission Foods GT3 Cup for Porsche 991s, 992s, 96s, and 97s. And then there's the Maranello Cup, which are Ferraris. All the ones that are here this weekend are Ferrari F458s. They will be running for their own points as well as overall, but they will be running for their own points, championships, and own finishing positions.
And we have the green. One pace lap in the field, pretty well split here. And the second group takes the green. And you've got Engen and Cloud leading the way with Carlino and Greensall are running to second. Ronson and the Ronson family, car number 94, in fourth.
And I believe John spoke to us last night, said that Wally Dallenbach Jr. was going to be starting that car, the 44 that John Cloud will be sharing.
Engen leading the way through 1 and 2 and 3 and headed for the Corvette Bridge with Carlino and the Carlino car in pursuit. Working lap 1 of a race that will last 90 minutes with 2 mandatory 5-minute pit stops. Pit stops, of course, are an integral part of endurance racing. And that's why you have these mandatory stops, because the strategy of when to pit is extremely important as to where you're going to finish.
And this is a large field, 56 cars, so traffic will be playing a huge role in this race, as well as the pit stops, a lot of the flavor of the endurance racing.
Engen continues to lead and has opened up a 5-car length spread over Cloud, with Carlino back about 2 car lengths. A perennial champion with many gold medals. So first, second, and third, pretty good spread between the 3 of them in this first lap as they head down the backstretch towards Sunset Bend. So we're about to put the first lap in the books.
And the first International GT car, that is the 20, currently running in 10th overall, Fred Portad, who has been running in the professional Porsche GT3 Cup. He's come back to International GT. He is the first of the International GT runners out there, and he leads in the Mission Foods GT3 Cup.
A 2:08.4 clocking by Travis Engen, a 2:11.5 by the Cloud entry, and a 2:15 or 2:13 by the Elan of Chris Rosen and the Ronson family. Spread between first and second between Engen and Cloud is 3 seconds. So Engen at a 2:08 and Cloud at a 2:11 at the end of that first lap.
Yeah, Engen should have no trouble pulling away from the Dallenbach and Cloud car, but the other GTP cars should be coming up on Dallenbach Jr., who's driving that 44, at least starting driving that 44 very quickly, as the GTP3 cars should be able to get by Cloud. Cloud and Dallenbach doing a good job of staying with Engen now.
Engen is already, as you can see, out from under the Corvette bridge, headed into the bend. So it's Engen, Cloud, Ronson, and Carlino, and Borchetta in the top 5. And Cantalupo's running 6th, Webster is 7th, Lasco 8th, and McKinnon is 9th. Debbie Cloud is in 10th. So you've got John Cloud, the husband, running 2nd overall. Debbie Cloud, the wife, running 10th overall. So half the family is in, and both cars in the top 10. I know they're proud of that. Sitting 11th is the Steve Davidson car. Scigliano is in 79, running 12th. 13th is Robinson in car 14. And 14th is Birching in car 66. And 34, Glenn Bryant rounds out the top 15. With 1 lap in the books and 2 minutes and 8 seconds at the completion of that first lap. Some of these drivers will come in early into the pits. We'll be unable to see them, but we'll be able to should be able to pick it up on our lap charts. Others will wait till the very last minute to put the car in the pits, try to build up as big a lead as they can. And you see different strategies by the different teams. However, if a full course caution should come out, and I think we'll probably see some of those with a field of 56 cars, then you'll see just about everybody coming in, taking advantage of the slower pace when they're under a double yellow. So 2 laps in the books. Engen now has opened up a 5-second spread over Cloud. Engen in the 2, the silver Audi R8, and Cloud in that red Ford Mustang Cobra. Sitting third is the Ronson family, car number 94. 4th is the 29 of Carlino. 5th, the 54 of Incantalupo. 6th is Webster. 7th is Borchetto. 8th is Lasco. 9th is McKinnon. And 10th is Debbie Cloud. So we've got an Audi R8 LMP car leading, running 2nd a Ford Mustang Cobra, 3rd an Elan DP02, 4th the Chevron B36, 5th the Orica FLM, and 6th the Porsche 911 Cup car. 7th the Chevrolet Corvette, 8th the Ford Mustang, 9th is the Porsche 911 RSR, and running out the 10th. Pretty good cross-section of the competition being with GTP, GT4, and GTP3 cars.
And back in 15th, 16th, and 17th is the International GT Porsche GT3 Cup battle. That's going on between Fred Portad, Juan Lopez Santini, and past, I believe it's 2018, Mission Foods GT 3 Cup champion Tom Pank, as those three are battling for first in the Mission Foods GT 3 Cup and International GT.
At the completion of 2 laps, 4 minutes and 14 seconds had expired in this 90-minute race. Ideal racing conditions as Engen brings it down the front straightaway and is beginning to start to lap cars. And I'm not surprised with the field this spread out. So Engen, whose last time was a 2:02.5, that's an average of 109 miles per hour, holding on now to an 11-second margin. I guess from past experience. So it's Engen, Cloud, Ronson, Carlino, and Ken Cooper as the top
5. Martin Vanish GT4, and Bobby Archer, of course, synonymous with Dodge, but he is out there today trying to take Aston Martin and Stephen Davison to a win.
So we have a GTP2 car leading the way GT4. The GTP3 leader is the Elan of the Ronson family, and they are running third overall in car number 94. Leading in U2, the Chevron B36 of Carlino and Greensall in car number 29, currently in fourth overall. 14A. And the GT3R leader is running 9th overall, the 20th Fred Fordad. And there's a pretty good battle there between Fred Fordad and Juan Lopez Santini, running 9th and 10th overall, car 20 and 24.
And that's the battle for the International GT Mission Foods GT3 Cup. Between those two drivers, they had a good battle yesterday, Fordad and Juan Lopez Santini. Santini winning the morning sprint race yesterday and Fordad winning in the afternoon.
Some good aerial shots coming in on our live streaming. You got opportunity to look at the immense track here at Sebring. A long ways to go. 17 turns.
Afternoon's Trans Am 2 race as Cloud as a professional driver as well as here in this Enduro this morning. Surprised that not Dolomite Jr.'s driving, but that GT4 car, which is a good horsepower car, but the handling of the GTP cars have not caught up to them or have been able to pass them yet. As Cloud and Dolomite Jr. still hold on to second.
They didn't have a clear track very long. 56 cars out there. It's not surprising. They get on the car already and constantly starting to run into traffic situations. We have 6 laps on the wheels. Fisher Eric Langman car, the VS2 entry, the 1987 Swift DB2. So an early pit stop strategy to get that first one out of the way. 6 laps in the books at the 12-minute, 24-second mark. Travis Aiken in the Audi R8 LMP. And you can see that Aiken is in some pretty heavy traffic. Dunlop Jr. now trailing by 22 seconds, sitting in second before Mustang. Third, the Runs. Fred Fordad in a GT4R battle with Juan Lopez Santini. That's a battle for the first in GT4R, and they're running 5th and 6th overall. Safety car sits at turn 1, and we have a full course caution coming out. So watch for most of the field to come in. The full course caution. We have double yellow everywhere. The safety car, as you saw, just went out on the track, picked up the leader.
Wow, what a break for that car that just had come into the pits. He's going to be almost a full, maybe full lap ahead if the remainder of the field comes in, which I would think they would do. Again, 2 pit stops required during this 90-minute Enduro. The late line car is finished with his pit stop, going back out on track. The other cars are coming in in the pits and circulating out there on track.
Travis Aiken is getting out of the car. Travis Aiken is getting out of the car. And getting a breather to getting a breather. He's got 5 minutes to relax, get back on drive. Get back on drive. Travis is a solo driver. So Engen in the pits. When he did it, so Engen in the pits. When he did it, he had a 22-second margin over Bronson. Bronson's there for second. Bronson's there for second. The double buff sitting on third. So he did not have it strong enough. He did not have it strong and we'll rejoin, probably at least one lap down, maybe two. But currently, with 7 laps in the books, you've still got the Engen Audi R8 LMP running in the number 1 spot, although sitting in the pits. The Ronson 94 Elan DP02 in second overall. The Cloud Wallenbach car sitting third overall in car number 44, the Ford Mustang Cobra. Moving up now into fourth, the 98 of Scott Porchetta and Bobby Labonte. They are running in B production in the Chevrolet Corvette. And moving up into fifth is Nathan Scigliano and John Koch in the S2, Carver S2. Sitting sixth is Fred Fordad in car number 28, the GT4R car, the Porsche GT3R entry. Webster in 51 is seventh, eighth is Santini in car 24, ninth is Lasco in 14A, and running at the top 10 to 39, Scott Dager in a GT4 entry, the Porsche GT3 Cup car. We have Porsche GT3 Cup cars in the top 10, running 7th and 8th, also in 10th and it's Engen, Ronson, and Cloud as the top 3 cars, the Audi R8 LMP, the Elan DP02, and the Ford Mustang Cobra. With the completion of 7 laps, 15 minutes of this race has expired. And we reminding you this is a 90-minute race, an hour and a half, with 2 5-minute mandatory pit stops. Yes, now we have the Ronson in the lead. Chris Ronson and senior and junior co-drivers in that car, the GTP3 Elan DP02. They circulated the track in 3 minutes and 47 seconds. And Engen sitting in the going back out.
Yes, Engen just was ready to go. They are very good at this. A very 5-minute pit stop. They time it right to the second. They released Engen, and he's back out on track. So watch that number 2, the Audi R8, come up through the field.
And Fred Fordad got by Engen as he was leaving the track. So Fordad now in the number 2 spot in the GT4R entry, the Porsche GT3R, the car number 20.
And that's the first of the international GT cars, which has worked its way all the way up to the second. Early in the race, down around 14 and 15, so it has, through the pit stops, come up into the top 5 and into second overall. It's number 20, Fred Fordad.
And we see Dallenbach in the pits, that red Ford Cobra. And so that he will drop down. So I think they're kind of keeping an eye on Engen and following Engen's lead. If Engen came in early, they'll come in early and try to stay with them.
We'll see if there's a driver change. Again, John Cloud told us last night that Dallenbach Jr. would be starting the car and Cloud would be climbing in. Don't know if that's going to happen at the first pit stop or the second pit stop, but the 44, the GT4 entry in the pits.
And we are still under a full course caution. So the trick is to get in, get out, and catch up with the safety car group. Currently showing Ronson in car 94 in the lead, Fordad second in car number 20. Engen is shown as third. That may change the next time around. Dallenbach as fourth, and they are in the pits. In the top 6. 8 laps in the books for the Ronson leader and Fordad running second overall.
Ed, a car that's up there that many people may not expect to be, but it has very good power. That's the Sports 2000 Carrera of Nathan Scigliano. Scigliano in the little Sports 2000 up against the GT4 Big Iron that Cloud and Dallenbach Jr. is driving, and the GTP cars, but Scigliano, for the moment anyway, holding his own.
Yeah, and this is a high-speed course, as you can see. There's a lot of room to put your foot on that accelerator and run quickly. So the corners are demanding here, but if you've got the horsepower, it's certainly an advantage. Safety car still on course. You see the pack starting to catch up to the safety car.
So that was very fortunate. Most of the field, if not the entire field, coming in to take care of their first pit stop. Another pit stop is in everyone's future. Again, a 5-minute mandatory pit stop, but at least the first one out of the way.
8 laps shown completed by first and second. Third place, which is Engen, in 7 laps. And most of the cars are, 7 laps down to position 13. And at the completion of 8 laps, we were right at the 23-minute mark. Now on the front straightaway, just coming by the control tower, is the safety car with the majority of the field that's on the track behind it. So we have a restart, basically starting another race.
And this looks like a little bit of the race will be here in a couple of weeks. The 12 hours is here. We have GTP entries, GT and Porsches and Ferraris, and looks very similar to this.
Right. Engen in the pack, and it'll be interesting to watch him move up through the field, which he will do rather handily if past experience proves itself, and I'm sure it will. So currently we have the GTP 94 of the Ronsons leading the way with 9 laps now in the books at the 23-minute mark, and the 20 of Fred Fordad, second overall, the GT4R car, Porsche GT3R. The Chevrolet Camaro GT4 of Debbie Cloud is now in third. So the wife of John has now moved up into third overall. She has yet to pit, however. Travis Engen rejoined and only lost 3 positions. He's shown in fourth in that silver number 2, the Audi R8 LMP, with 8 laps in the books. So he's down 1 lap to Ronson and Fordad.
And Fred Fordad, who currently runs second. Fordad started 23rd in the field and was part of that second half of the split start with the International GTs. So Fordad, through good driving and very good strategic pit work, has moved all the way up into second overall from starting 23rd.
Both Ronson and Fordad, to the best of my knowledge, did not pit during the double yellow, so they're still going to have to make that up. Still under a full course caution with 9 laps of the books, working lap 10. Coming up on 25 minutes. This extended full course caution is allowing the field to close up behind the safety car, which will make for a very good, exciting start as we have a nose to tail. Majority of the field ready to go at it when the green flag flies.
And back in 21st and 23rd is the Maranello Cup drivers. John Patrick Mullaney, who won the opening Maranello Cup race yesterday, is leading over Benoit Bergeron, last year's champion in the Maranello Cup. So watch them, the 36 of John Patrick Mullaney, who's leading in the Ferrari F458, and last year's champion Benoit Bergeron in the 127, who is running second in the Marinella Cup, Ferrari F458 as well.
Breaking down the classes, the GTP3 leader is the Ronson 94, the Elan DP4. The GT4R leader is the Porsche GT3R of Fred Pordad in car number 20. The GT4 leader is the Chevrolet Camaro of Debbie Cloud in car 99B. And the GTP2 leader is the Audi R8 LMP of Travis Engen in car number 2, running 4th overall. Running 5th overall is the leader in U2. That's Richard Carlino and Nigel Greensall in car number 29, the Chevron B36. Running second in GT4 is 6th overall, the 551 of Lawrence Webster in a Porsche 911 Cup car, shadowed by a Porsche GT3 Cup car, who is running second in GT4R. And that is Juan Lopez Santini. Great name for a driver. 8th overall, the 54 of Dominic Incantalupo. He's running a GP2, and we're back to green, as you possibly can hear in the background and see on the screen. With the Ronson 94 leading the way, and they go into 1-3 abreast.
They do know this is an endurance race, right?
And not on a restart. It's just like a sprint.
Yeah, they certainly acted like it as they were on the gas and 3 wide, as you mentioned, going through turn 1 and up through turn 2.
Ronson
with the
and Pordad.
Ronson zoom.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ronson and Pordad almost side by side as they went into turn 2. And you can see that field coming out of 3 and under the Corvette bridge. So we've got Ronson in car 94 leading the way, the Elan DP02, followed by Fred Pordad. A good battle between those two. Pordad in the Porsche GT3R with Cloud running third in the Chevrolet Camaro. Travis Engen is fourth in the Audi R8 LMP, but I think Travis has already fought his way through the field and is in the number 1 spot. You see the 94 car on the screen. Sitting in 6th is Santini, 7th is Webster, 8th Incantalupo, 9th is the Sandwich Vardy car, and rounding at the top 10, Scott Dager. That should probably change to some degree at the completion of lap 11. As we're coming up on the 30-minute mark, the first third of this 90-minute race, and the majority of the field has made their first pit stop, so that mandatory second pit stop. But plenty of time to make that decision, as I anticipate another full course caution before this race is over with the number of cars that we've got out there.
In International GT, the Porsche GT3R Fred Pordad, who's running second overall, leading in the Mission Foods GT3 Cup. That's the 20. A little bit further down is 6th overall. That's second in the International GT, the 24 Juan Lopez Santini. And in 9th overall is the Mark Sandrich and Joe Vardy entry, the 58, running third in the Porsche GT3 Cup.
And at the completion of the lead lap, which is 11 laps, we are back to speed and get an opportunity what the potential is for these cars. The lead car, 94 Ronson, in the GTB3 Elan DP02, turned a 2:09.3 for 104 mile per hour average, whereas Fred Pordad in car number 20, the Porsche GT3R, he has yet to show. He's got a 4:28 showing on the board. In third, Debbie Cloud, a 2:19.5. And in fourth, Engen at a 2:13.8. And the car are capable of doing a 2:02, so they are still trying to fight traffic and slow down the field. We've got 2:14s and 15s out there in the top 10. So the quick lap on the restart at 2:09.3 by Ronson. And that should give him a comfortable margin at the moment. And we see the number 2 of Engen on the screen, leading the way. And I think the next time around you'll see Engen in the number 1 spot.
And now the question is, Ed, because we've watched Engen over the years, is he going to try to build up this lead because he's already has his first pit stop out of the way and go as far as he can and pit in at the last moment to take care of that second pit stop?
Just saw a shot of Benoit Bergeron, and currently shown in 26th in the pits in car 127. That's that Ferrari 458 Challenge car.
And that was the second place Maranello Cup car behind John Patrick Mullaney. So Bergeron, I'm sure they have a strategy, but I would have thought that they would have come in and take the opportunity under the double yellows. But Bergeron, coming all the way down from Canada as part of the contingent for the Ferraris, has a strategy, but I would have thought he'd come in on the double yellows, but he is in the pits now taking that first pit stop.
After 11 laps, the spread between first and second is a whopping 1 minute 52. That's the Ronson car enjoying 1 minute 52 spread over the second place car, Fred Pordad in car number 20, the Porsche GT3R. And Engen sits back off the lead by 2 minutes and 14 seconds. They all are in the same lap, though, now working lap number 12. Engen has 2 minutes and 14 seconds to make up. Debbie Cloud has 2 minutes and 31 seconds. Santini, 2 minutes and 34 seconds. So it's Ronson in car 94, the Elan DP02 leading. Pordad in the Porsche GT3R in second. Third, Travis Engen in the Audi R8 LMP. Fourth, Debbie Cloud of the Chevrolet Camaro. Fifth, the Santini Porsche GT3 Cup car. Sixth is the Carlino Greenstall Chevron B36. Seventh, Sandridge and Vardy in the Porsche GT3R. Eighth, the Incantalupo Orica FLM9. And ninth, the Scott Decker car in the Porsche GT3 Cup. Rounding out the top 10, the B Prod leader, Chevrolet Corvette of Borchetta and Labonte. 11 laps in the books. All right, the spread between first and second now at the completion of 11 laps, 1 minute 52 seconds. One third of this race completed, and the first of two mandatory pit stops completed by the majority of the field. Engen working his way through the field. He's got to make up a 2 minute and 14 second deficit to Fred Pordad.
Ed, early on, Wally Dallenbach Jr. and John Cloud were sitting second overall. They are currently 26th after the pit stop, so watch for that car to come up through the field as they have made their first pit stop but are way down in 26th. I'm sure they'll come up through the field as this 90-minute Enduro winds down.
Right, and we just got a shot of the Ronson entry, which was leading. They are in the pits. So uncharacteristically, they stayed out there, and then they came into the pits under the green. That may cost them, but right now they are dropped to fourth. And Pordad now in the lead. Pordad with 21 seconds over the Audi of Travis Engen. So Engen is on his way to regaining that lead. Engen clocking a 2:01.3, Pordad a 2:01.5. That should be a good battle between the Porsche GT3R and the Audi R8 LMP.
With Ronson Jr. and Sr. in the pits and Engen out there on track, you're looking at about 2 minutes per lap if that's a good lap for Engen. So they're going to lose about 2 minutes. Yeah, and I'm kind of confused by the strategy too. I would have come in when the double yellows was out and the cars were going around and circulating at a slower speed.
Of course, a couple of more cautions could help them out there. We'll see how that plays out in the next hour. Third is Santini in the Porsche GT3 Cup car. Fourth, the Sandridge Vardy car in the Porsche GT3R. Fifth is the Carlino Greenshall car in the Chevron B36. Debbie Cloud now sits in sixth in the Chevrolet Camaro. She's giving up some weight and speed to the rest of the field that's in front of her. She's running 222s, whereas the Chevron's running a 212, the Porsche GT3R running a 208, the Cup car a 205, the LMP, not surprisingly, a 201, and the Porsche GT3R a 201. So the race to watch actually is up front between Fred Pordad and car number 20, Travis Engen, in car number 2, the Porsche and the Audi going at it. And the spread now between Pordad and Engen is only 5 seconds.
Yeah, once Engen gets by Pordad, he's going to have the other two GT3 Cup cars that he is in battle with for the International GT right behind him. as we have Juan Lopez Santini in second place in International GT, third overall in the 24, and then the Mark Sandridge Joe Vardy car, fourth overall, the 58. That is the third International GT car.
Right, and we see Portad Engen's making a move on Portad and goes by.
And see if Engen can stretch out this lead or if Portad can stay with him. But again, Portad's main concern is going to be coming from his rearview mirror vantage point, and that is Juan Lopez Santini and Mark Sandridge Joe Vardy 58 car, because those are the two cars that he has to keep behind him in order to claim the International GT win in this Enduro.
With 13 laps at the book, 35 minutes expiring, Fred Portad shown in the lead at the completion of 13, but if my eyes didn't deceive me, we saw a pass coming out from under the Corvette bridge by Engen on Portad. We'll confirm that the next time around, now working lap 14.
And the Dallenbach Cloud car has gained 4 positions since last we discussed them. They're up to 22nd overall.
Still Portad, Engen, and Santini on the charts. Vardy shown in fourth with Sandridge. The Kalina Greensall car in fifth, and the Cantalupo car in sixth. Degger in seventh. Debbie Cloud now in eighth. Ninth, Borchetta and Labonte in 10th. Scigliano. No, we still have Portad in the lead, so that pass was my mistake. Travis Engen, no, okay, it's just changed. Engen is in the lead, so I was right.
How
I
did
was
that
wrong,
happen?
and then I was right. Story of my life. So it's a 14 laps in the books for Engen. Fred Portad showed with 13 laps, so he hasn't caught up to Engen. Engen has opened up a big margin, apparently. Then Santini in third. Now Santini moves up to second, so Portad, it's my guess, Portad has pulled into the pits. Number 28 car, so we have Engen leading and Santini running second, and Santini is a big 24 seconds behind. Portad now shown in third, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, he's in the pits. Portad, the former leader, in the pits.
In the Maranello Cup, it is Colin Cohen and Jason Hart leading over Benoit Bergeron, last year's champion. And in the Stuttgart Cup, the Porsche Caymans, we have Scott Key, who was one of the top 3 both sprint races yesterday, and he's leading over last year's champion in the Porsche Cayman, the 014 of William Wachs.
Okay, with 14 laps in the books at the 37-minute mark, we have Travis Engen and the Audi R8 LMP leading the way, holding on to a 24.5 second advantage over the Porsche GT3 Cup car of Juan Lopez Santini. Sitting now in third is the Mark Sandridge Joe Vardy Porsche GT3R. In fourth, the Richard Carlino Nigel Greensall U2 entry, the Chevron V36. In fifth, the 54 of Dominic Cantalupo with the GTP2 car, the Orica FLM9. In seventh is Debbie Cloud in car number 99V, the GT4 leader in a Chevrolet Camaro. In eighth is the Nathan Scigliana and the John Koch car, the S2 Cabrera S2. Eighth is the 79 of, we got that. Fred Portad is now shown in ninth, 1 lap down. And also 1 lap down the Borchetta Labonte car, and I believe both those cars are in the pits, currently in the pits. 15 laps in the books by the leader at the 39-minute mark.
And that pit stop really cost the Ronsons, both senior and juniors. They came in after the green flag had waved for the restart. They've dropped all the way down to 35th overall, and the car they're chasing, Engen, is way up at the top there. Number 1.
Engen with 15 laps in the books at the 39-minute mark and holding on to a 25.9 second spread over the Santini Porsche, who is running second overall with 15 laps in the books. Now completing 15 laps, the Mark Sandridge Joe Vardy car and the Richard Carlino Nigel Greensall car. That are your top 4. An Audi, 2 Porsches, and a Chevron.
Let me correct myself. I hate to admit this, but you were right. It is Ronson Jr. and Senior running 26th overall, but still quite a ways down due to that pit stop.
The Borchetta Labonte car is in the pits. Car number 98, the Chevrolet Corvette, are in the pits, and they are dropping rapidly. They're currently being shown in 25th place. So Engen back in the driver's seat, holding on to a 26-second advantage over Juan Lopez Santini, who runs second overall and leads his class. Now, the second and third place cars are both in the same class, the GT4R class, the Porsche GT3s, Santini and Vardy. About a 22-second spread, though, between those two cars. And they are second and third, first and second in the GT4R class. Fourth, the GTU leader. Check that, it's the U2 leader. That's Carlino and Greensall in car number 29, running fourth in the Chevron B36. So you have the Audi, 2 Porsches, and a Chevron in the top 4. The Oreca sits fifth. Sixth is another GT3 Cup car. Seventh, a Camaro. Eighth, a Cabrera Sports 2000 car. Eighth is a Porsche. The ninth is a Porsche 911. And 10th is a Ferrari. Now check that. That is 11th is a Ferrari.
And that is the Maranello Cup leader, Ed. That is Colin Cohen sharing his car this weekend with Jason Hart.
So at 41 minutes, 16 laps in the books for Travis Engen, who now has opened up a 30-second spread over the Santini Porsche GT3 Cup car running second. So we are approaching the halfway mark, with the field having made its first mandatory pit stop.
Ed, Wally Dallenbach Jr. and John Cloud continue to climb through the standings. They are now up into 18th overall. Remember, they entered in 26th after the pit stop.
Yeah, and they just moved up into 17th overall in the Ford Mustang Cobra. John Cloud and Wally Dallenbach Jr. I think Wally started. I don't know whether they changed drivers or not. Let's see, a 212 is their last time around, and their best lap a 207. So Engen is clocking 1:59.7 with that. In fact, that is the best lap he has turned, so he's got some clear air out there apparently, averaging 97 miles per hour. A 2:17.8 the last time around. His best lap time, a 1:59.7 for 112 mile per hour average. So at the halfway point, it's Travis Engen in the Audi R8 LMP with the advantage over the Porsche GT3 Cup car of Juan Lopez Santini in car number 24.
And the Ronson Senior and Junior, they have moved up from 26th into 20th after their pit stop, so they are following in the footsteps of Dallenbach Jr. and John Cloud as they continue to rise through the field.
Reminding you that the International GT race is being held within this race. And Scott, maybe you could give us a rundown on some of the top cars in that group.
Yeah, the top car is second overall. That's the 24 of Juan Lopez Santini in the Porsche GT4 leader. And right behind him is the Mark Sandridge Joe Vardy as they share driving duties. They are running second in this is the Mission Foods GT3 Cup in their Porsche, the number 58. Looking for third overall, and that is Scott Dager. Dager in the 39, he is running in sixth overall. Those are the top three in the Mission Foods GT3 Cup. Colin Cohen and Jason Hart, they run in 10th overall. They lead the Maranello Cup. And then it is John Patrick Mullaney running second in the Maranello Cup. That's the Ferrari F458s. And then Benoit Bergeron third overall. Scott Key leads in the Porsche Caymans. And the 017 last year's champion William Wachs runs second in the Porsche Caymans. That is the Stuttgart Cup.
They had a shot of Fred Fordad, the car number 20, which is currently now in 25th after their pit stop, shown going back out onto the track. Fordad in a battle with Engen earlier in this race, and we will watch for see how he moves up through the pack. Phil Lasco now has worked his way back into 24th overall in the Ford Mustang.
And Fred Fordad is a very accomplished driver. He raced in the Porsche GT3 Cup, the professional series, that was the support series to IMSA for quite a number of years and was the top runner in that class. They have different driver capabilities, gold and platinum. He was a gold driver, and he certainly was in the top 3 in any race that he ran, and was high up in the standings in that Porsche GT3 Cup. And early on, he was the fastest driver of the International GT Porsches, Fred Fordad in the 20.
And Tom Parker, car number 42, the Porsche GT3 Cup car that was running 16th, has pitted. That's Tom Pank. So 17 laps in the books at the 44-minute mark. Travis Engen holding on to the lead in the Audi R8 LMP with a 32-second advantage over the Porsche GT3 Cup car of Juan Lopez Santini, sitting third, the 58 of Mark
we normally see.
Yeah, Sebring International Raceway, a very difficult course to negotiate.
Kudos to the early bird fans who came out here and watched the start.
Again, you're trying to straighten that turn out and get as much power down as quickly as possible, because that leads on to that long straightaway that comes out from underneath the Corvette bridge and head towards the hairpin. That is the best overtaking opportunity, and you'll see a lot of cars during the course of the weekend go off to the outside as they either misjudge their braking points or try to turn in and realize that there's somebody there and not quite be able to do it.
Boy, the cloud car.
Scott Jager a couple of positions back in 7th. Well, nobody has taken the car lead, but they're
Over the lead, car number 2. The GT2 class leader, the Audi R8 clocking at 206. So keep an eye on 44. They're fighting their way back up to the pack.
Maranello Cup car, the Colin Cohen Jason Hart, number 15, the Ferrari F458, running second, and I believe he currently is in 14th, is John Patrick Mullaney. Mullaney in second in the Maranello Cup, and then Benoit Bergeron, last year's champion, further back from him. Benoit Bergeron running third in the Maranello Cup. All three of those entries are Ferrari F458s.
Colin Cohen and Jason Hart, the Ferrari, moving up into 8th position. Advancing to 9th now from 10th is Tom Tank, car number 42. I think that's the Ronsons are in the pits. I've got a shot of them right now, car number 94. So they're dropping down in the field and everyone's moving up a spot. Engen puts 26 laps in the books at the 1 hour and 11 minute mark, clocking a 1:59.9 for a 112 mile per hour average. So Engen is back up to speed. His best time of 1:58.9. He hadn't been circulating the track at the low 2 minute mark, but he got a good run and some clean air, and got back under 2 minutes again, and now he has opened up his advantage over second place, 32. On an international GT class.
Well, at the moment, running second overall is the 24, Juan Lopez Santini. In third overall, second is the international GT is the 58, cheered by Mark Sandrich and Joe Vardy. Looking for third, and that would be Scott Dager. He is seventh overall in the 39. All three of those cars are Porsche GT3s, 4-liter entries. Running in 8th and just moving into 8th is the Maranello Cup Ferrari leader. That is the 15, cheered by Colin Cohen and Jason Hart. Running in 12th and just moving, actually falling to 13th. He was 12th until just a minute ago. Is John Patrick Mullaney in the 36. He runs second in the Maranello Cup. And then Benoit Bergeron, last year's champion, running third in the Maranello Cup. In the Caymans, it is Scott Key in the 351 with his co-driver Zitza leading over last year's champion, the 017 of William Wachs.
Thank you, Scott. Travis Engen continuing to lead in car number 2, followed by the Lopez Santini car 24 in second place, a 32-second margin between those two cars. And 4 seconds back in third place, the Porsche of Sandrich and Vardy. Then it's Cloud in the Chevrolet Camaro, followed by fifth place, Carlino and Greensall leading in U2. And then the GTP2 leader, the Oriker FLM of Dominic Incantalupo in car number 54. And in 7th and 39 Scott Dager, the GT4 entry, the Porsche GT3 Cup car. Sitting in 8th, the Ferrari, leading in the 458 class, Colin Cohen and Jason Hart in car 15. 9th, Tom Pank in the Porsche. 10th, John Uglem in the Porsche GT3 Cup car. 27 laps in the books for the leader, Engen, at the 1 hour and 13 minute mark. So we're coming up on the final 15 minutes of this 90-minute race, which has seen 2 full course cautions.
And if anyone has not made their second pit stop, they're going to have to figure out some way to make it within this next 10 minutes. It is a second pit stop. It's mandatory, 5 minutes. The majority of the field did make it, but as we noted, Ed, there were a couple of cars that stayed out.
Right, among the top 10, I'm pretty sure that Debbie Cloud didn't make hers. If she has not, then she needs to get in pretty soon. And that will drop her out of the top 10.
And of course, we saw Chris Ronson that came into the pit, so his second mandatory pit stop is out of the way, but that's going to drop him way down the field with about 15 minutes to spare when he goes out on track.
Engen clocking a 2:06 the last time around. He had gotten down to a 1:59, averaging 106 miles per hour, but with a 30-second spread over second place, Engen doesn't need to worry about staying under 2 minutes. As the second place car clocked a 2:03, third place a 2:06, and fourth place a 2:08. Fifth clocked to 2:09. So we are now in the final 15 minutes on lap 28. We were at 1 hour 15 minutes. So we are the last 15 minutes of this race, beginning to settle down now for the first time. We've really seen some excellent racing out there. The pit stop's pretty well dictated by the full course cautions that came within the first half of the race. The first one at about the quarter hour, and the second one at the halfway point at about 45 minutes. Travis Ingen, the Audi R8 LMP, may be standing on that podium again with that gold medal around his neck. The 24 Juan Lopez Santini, the GT4R leader and second overall in a Porsche GT3 Cup car. Rounding out the top three, the number 58 of Mark Sanders and Joe Barty, running second in class in the Porsche GT3R and third overall. They are about 40 seconds behind the leader. Those three cars have completed 28 laps. Fourth through eighth is 27 laps. And then the majority of the rest of the field at 26 laps.
Yeah, the car that's in fifth overall, Scott Dager, currently running third in the International GT. Dager started in 31st position at the beginning of that race and has worked his way all the way up into fifth overall, third in the International GT. Great drive by Scott Dager, who, as far as we know, is driving this solo.
29 laps in the books by Travis Ingen at the 1 hour and 17 mark of this 1 hour and 30 minute race. And he did get some clean air as he dropped it from a 2:09 to a 2-minute flat. That's 112 mile per hour average.
Juan Lopez Santini still holding on to the International GT lead over Mark Sandrich and Joe Vardy as they co-share number 15, or 50 rather, as they run second and third overall. And Scott Dager, just mentioning him, he is in fifth overall, third in the Porsches, the International GT.
29 laps in the books for Santini. As you were talking, he trails Engen by 38 seconds. He clocked a 2:07.9 to Engen's 2-minute flat. Also at a 2:07.2, the third place overall car, Mark Sanders and Joe Vardy in car number 3. Joe Vardy has been around for a long time. It's good to see him out there. Vardy, a former champion Spark Plug Series champion, and that's going way back into the 70s.
And Ed, both Juan Lopez Santini and Mark Sandrich, the Joe Vardy, they started on the same row. They started 24th and 25th overall.
A good, consistent driving by two veterans. The Oreca of Incantalupo remains in fourth. The GT3 Cup car of Scott Dager remains in fifth. In sixth, the Colin Jason Hart car, that's in the Ferrari Challenge leader. And Tom Pank is now in seventh. Eighth is Richard Carlino, and ninth is 10th is Nathan Scudier and John Coach. And I just realized I haven't mentioned Debbie's name, and that's because she must have pitted. She has just shown in 17th place now. Debbie Cloud, who we've been talking about throughout this race, making her second pit stop under green, and she is dropping rapidly through the field, currently shown in 18th. But what a great time she had for a while.
Ed, the car you just mentioned a minute ago, Tom Pank, who runs seventh overall. Pank runs fourth in the International GT, the Porsches, the Mission Food GT3 Cup. And Pank, a 2018 champion in this series. And just 2 years ago, he had a very big off back there on the fastest part of this course and down the back straightaway. Completely destroyed the car, but he rebounded the next race at Road Atlanta and won both sprint races and the Enduro. So Tom Pank with a great crew behind him and a great driver in the car, currently in fourth in GT, seventh overall.
And we are in the final 10 minutes of this 90-minute race. 30 laps in the books for Engen and Santini and the Sandrich Vardy car. So The top three cars need to hold their positions for less than 10 minutes now to take the top three positions overall in this 90-minute Enduro. That Carver S2 of Scigliano and John Cott in car number 79 are holding their own as they sit in 10th position, clocking a 2:18 the last time around, a 97 mile per hour average.
Colin Cohen and Jason Hart sharing the 15. They lead in the Maranello Cup. They have moved up into 6th overall. They have quite a sizable lead over second in the Maranello Cup, who is John Patrick Mullaney, and he is several positions behind them. So it looks like a good win for Colin Cohen and Jason Hart if they can keep it on track, Ed.
31 laps in the books for the leader Engen at the 1 hour and 21 minute mark. The Audi R8 LMP. Engen's strategy usually to wait till the very last minute to make his 5-minute pit stop, but full course cautions dictated when he made his pit stops, and it worked out for him nevertheless, as he is holding on to a 30-second margin over second place Juan Lopez Santini.
And Ed, running 10th overall is that Carver Sports 2000 of Nathan Scigliano as he holds on to 10th overall. That would be a great result with the type of machinery that is in front of him in those places between Porsche GT3Rs and GTP entries. A great run for Nathan Scigliano in the Carver.
Car 94 back on the course of the Ronsons, but too little too late as they rejoin in 26th position. And Debbie Cloud now sits in 28th. But her husband has worked their way back up to 11th overall. And the lead, I believe, in second in GT4, right? All right. John Cloud, who will be out here in the Trans Am competition as well, with his co-driver, the famous Wally Dallenbach Jr. of NASCAR fame, are sitting 11th overall. Clock ticking on in under 10 minutes.
And just look at the scrolling going by on the screen in front of us. The Cayman leader is running 17th overall. That is Scott Key and his co-driver Zitza.
Now Ron Zitza, a longtime competitor, has logged a lot of laps here at Sebring and in many other tracks around the country. Engen puts 32 laps in the books at the 1 hour and 23 minute mark, and he's once again turned the wick up to a 1:59.4, under 2 minutes at a 1:12.6. And the second place car, Santini, yet to cross the finish line to complete his 32 lap. But we do have 3 cars in the same lap. The Engen Audi, the Santini Porsche, and the Sandwich Vardy Porsche. And SVR car leading all the way, and 2 International GT cars rounding out second and third, with an SVR car in fourth, and that's the Orica. And again, we've got IGP cars in 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. Okay, we're focusing on car 2 now, that beautiful silver Porsche Audi R8 LMT. This is the type of car that won here at Sebring 4 times. And has taken the championship 4 times. Was dominant.
And that good Porsche race behind them, which is Juan Lopez Santini and Mark Sandridge, Joe Vardy. Not sure which one is in the car, but they are sharing that car as they run second and third overall, but contest the lead and the win in International GT, as they have for most of this race, the 2 Porsche GT3Rs, second and third overall.
Under 6 minutes remaining.
Colin Cohen and Jason Hart continue to lead in the Maranello Cup in the 15 over John Patrick Mullaney in the 36 and Benoit Bergeron in the 127.
The checkered flag is out, and the winner is Travis Engen. Surprise, surprise. Car number 2, the GTP2 car, the Audi R8 LMP. Takes the checkered. And finishing second, Juan Lopez Santini. In the Porsche GT3 Cup car, third overall goes to the 58 of Mark Sandridge and Joe Vardy. And an excellent drive in their GT3R. Fourth place to Dominic Incantalupo in the Orica. Fifth to Scott Dager in the Porsche GT3 Cup car. Sixth to Colin Cullen, the Jason Hart Ferrari 458 Challenge. Seventh to Tom Fank in the Porsche GT3 Cup car. Eighth to John Uglum in the Porsche GT3 Cup car. Ninth to Carlino and Greensall, Richard Carlino and Nigel Greensall in the Chevron B36. 10th to John Cloud and Wally Dallenbach Jr. in GT4 in the Ford Mustang Cobra. Can you give us a rundown on the International GT, Scott?
Yeah, you may have seen on the screen the flashing lights of the 3 Porsches that went across the line. The winner in International GP and finishing second overall, Juan Lopez Santini in the 24, as he was able to hold off the Mark Sandrich Joe Vardy co-driven number 50. It's third overall, second in International GT. Third in International GT, this is the Porsche's, the Mission Foods GT3 Cup, is Scott Dager in the 39. Winner in the Maranello Cup, this is the Ferrari F458, steered by Colin Cohen and Jason Hart. Second in the Maranello Cup, the John Patrick Mullaney, number 36. Third, the Benoit Bergeron 127, last year's champion. And in the third of the International GT classes, the Stuttgart Cayman class, won by Scott Key and Ron Zitza, with last year's champion William Watson, the 017, finishing in second. Back to you, Ed.
And our graphics on the screen giving you the rundown of your top 10. And for Scott Conway and Ed Conway, we have really enjoyed calling this race. It was our pleasure. And we looking for John to show up here and close this thing down.
Is this the first of the live streaming worldwide for SVRA and Trans Am? And we hope you very much enjoyed it. If you don't have it, you need to download on the app or go to Google Play. You can also download on iOS and Android. You need to get this. Great graphics here, great video footage, both from the cameras around the turns as well as the drone shots. You can get all kinds of information, graphics showing where the cars are in position overall. You get the spreads between them. It's a great thing to have. You don't want to miss it. You don't want to be the only one without it. So again, download the Trans Am at Pirelli free app at the App Store or on Google Play. Also again, download the free app on your iOS or Android. Also can get replays, highlights, event schedules, and other pertinent information both on SVRA and Trans Am. We really enjoyed it. For Ed and myself, I enjoyed it very much, and for Greenlight TV, we really appreciate the opportunity to do this and bring this to you not only here at Sebring International, but worldwide.
And next on tap will be an SVRA race, sprint race feature for groups 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you should be on the grid ready for your start.